Hasbro is not doing well. So, who is Hasbro? In case you don't know, they are a toy maker, and they have an extensive catalog. Magic the Gathering, Transformers, Dungeons and Dragons, Nerf, Play-Doh, My Little Pony, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, and Peppa Pig. It's also a partner of Marvel and Star Wars. You go into a toy aisle, you see Star Wars, Marvel toys, they make them. And those used to be bread and butter for them. I'm not sure. I don't keep up with the other brands. Don't really know how G.I. Joe's doing. Power Rangers, that's a new acquisition. I don't like their Power Rangers stuff. I like the stuff that Bandai used to make. A lot of their stuff, it looks cheap to me. All these brands are down. And to kind of give you a perspective of this, we can head on over to World Class Bullshitters, channel that's been documenting all of these toys and how many sit in excess and don't sell for a long time. One of the things that this channel does is goes to Ollie's and other like discount toy stores and shows you just how much of this shit is not selling and laying around. So Ollie's, in case you don't know, is a discount toy store. And I'm just going to play this. I'm going to turn the sound off. But Ollie's is a discount toy store. And basically, some of this stuff, I'm surprised is there. Like this old school Iron Man armor. This looks like 80s Iron Man. I can't tell. It's wild. That doesn't even sell. Right? That does not sell. I went into one the other day. They had Age of Apocalypse figures. Those aren't selling. That shows you how bad it, like good shit. Like that Iron Man being there, that's crazy to me. That's a toy I would think a kid would want. But they don't. Now, it's not just the good stuff. Like, there's a lot of bad shit here, too. All this is Hasbro made here. This Wakanda Forever, this What If thing. And, you know, I've seen Jeff, that's the guy who runs this channel, stack up a mountain of Star Wars Rey figures once. Like, look at all of these. This is all sitting around. Not selling. A Mandalorian. This is the Mandalorian and Beskar armor for $3.99. No one's buying that shit. All these unsold toys. There's more. Here's some more. C-3PO, the bigger one, because they've been making like more regular-sized action figures. No one's buying that. No one's buying Boba Fett. Look at all these Shang-Chi figures over here in the back. Like, it's just tons of unsold shit all over the place. Just mountains of unsold Disney garbage. Nobody wants Riri Williams. Nobody wants Nadamorlid, or however you say his dumb name. Like, they changed that character for no reason. I wanted to pull this up to give you an idea of just how much of this shit is going and not getting bought by anybody. This garbage will be sitting there forever because nobody wants Riri Williams. So I wanted to show you that to give you an idea of just how much garbage is not selling. And because of that, Hasbro has to now lay off 20% of its workforce. 20% of its workforce gone. Now, this is going to be the second round of layoffs for them. According to the Wall Street Journal, Hasbro CEO Chris Cox sent out an email to employees announcing the layoffs, claiming that the company's toy sales are less than expected and that the company has faced significant market headwinds. The company plans to cut 1,100 jobs. It previously laid off 800 employees earlier in the year, and at the end of 2022, it employed around 6,500 people. Cox noted the market headwinds we anticipated have proven to be stronger and more persistent than planned. He added, while we're confident in the future of Hasbro, the current environment demands that we do more. The initial round of layoffs, which were announced at the beginning of the year, came after the company reported its revenues had declined 17% year over year to $1.6 billion. The company's president and chief operating officer, Eric Nyman, departed the company during the first round of layoffs. Back in January, Cox said at the time, "We are focused on implementing transformational changes aimed at substantially reducing costs and increasing our growth rates and profitability." They have a problem, a major problem. One, a lot of kids just aren't buying toys. They're not buying them, not as much as they used to. Kids are mostly playing video games now. Fortnite, that's the big thing now. All those skins and everything in that game have pretty much replaced toys. If you go into, and I've talked about this before, next time you're in a Walmart or something, Target, go to the toy aisle, specifically the boys' toy aisle, unless you live in California where it's all gender neutral now. But in the boys' toy aisle, go take a look and tell me how many of those brands look like they're for kids. Because you'll go in there and you'll see real Ghostbusters, a Transformers toys based on the 80s movie, the 80s animated movie. Because you can get Coronation Starscream, where he becomes leader of the Decepticons for like 5 minutes. and then what I forget the name of Megatron's new form, but he goes in there and just takes over and murders him. Gavatron, right? That was his name. They have toys based on that scene in their aisles. Who is that for? That's not for kids. That's for adults. They're trying to grab some money from adults that like to, buy nostalgia and stuff like that. And I don't know how long that's going to work. Now, they point out in here that they had some growth at Wizards of the Coast and Digital Gaming, but that was due to the release of Baldur's Gate 3 and Monopoly Go. The company claimed the decline in consumer products was due to exited licensing and softer category trends. Does Hasbro own Wizards of the Coast? See, all that Dungeons and Dragons stuff is going to hurt them too. Same with Magic. Magic and Dungeons and Dragons have had a huge woke push. A lot of these brands. Transformers was in a bad place. I haven't seen Rise of the Beast, but I heard it was good. I can tell you the IDW Robert Kirkman ran Transformers and G.I. Joe brand because he's got a shared. Robert Kirkman, the guy behind Invincible and Walking Dead, is overseeing the comic line of Transformers and G.I. Joe right now, and it's actually really good. Before that, it was at IDW. Now it's at Image. But when Transformers and G.I. Joe were at IDW, they were doing crazy shit like making Transformers and stuff. All of that is gone now. But they have some problems with a lot of these brands because a lot of these brands are doing a woke push. But Marvel and Star Wars, their biggest bread and butter, are underperforming big time. I would argue that this category right here is where they're losing the majority of their money because these used to be big, big hits. And no one's buying that shit anymore. No one's buying Marvel toys. No one's buying Star Wars toys. Those brands are starting to fizzle. And it's Disney's fault, particularly in Star Wars, which used to have a huge collectible market. Kathleen Kennedy has seen that that's been destroyed. Nobody's interested in these new characters. I've done videos on that. You've had I think it was I don't know if it was Hot Toys or whoever, but the really detailed made-for-adults figures. If you watch Heel versus Babyface, you know what I'm talking about. He's got a bunch of them, and they're all cool. They don't make sequel trilogy characters because they don't sell, and they practically came out and said it in an interview. Those characters don't sell. Nobody wants them. That's why they keep making Luke and Han Solo and all these characters from the original trilogy because those are the only things that sell. But I would probably I'd be willing to bet actually that those sales have gone down too because of the way they've treated those characters. I bet you Han Solo and Luke Skywalker toys aren't selling as well anymore either. So they put in here that they're confident that the future of Hasbro will be okay. And I'm not so sure about that. Toys are dying, which is, it's kind of sad, but I would argue there's something lost from kids not playing with toys and using their imaginations versus sitting down and letting a video game do that for them. But that's a different conversation. The initial round of layoffs, which were announced at the beginning of the year, came after the company reported its revenues had declined by 17% year over year to $1.68 billion. The company's president and chief operating officer, Eric Neiman, departed the company during the first round of layoffs back in January. Cox said at the time, "We are focused on implementing transformational changes aimed at substantially reducing costs and licensing our growth rates and profitability." Sales have not recovered this year, with the company reporting in the Q3 report that revenue declined 10% despite growth from Wizards of the Coast and its digital gaming segment, which increased 40%. However, its overall consumer products division saw revenue decline 18%. Its entertainment division's revenue fell 42%. And as I said, their growth in those areas were primarily due to Baldur's Gate 3 and Monopoly Go. So I don't know what they do. Then the rest of the article goes into some stuff I've already covered about the Star Wars toys and how they didn't make a dedicated Ahsoka line, really. It's wild. But that is what's going on in Hasbro land, and I think a lot of this has to do with Disney. Their other brands are hurting, which are somewhat self-inflicted, but those are nowhere near as big. Power Rangers is nowhere near as big as Marvel or Star Wars. Same with Play-Doh now and Nerf and all these other things. Like, those are the big boys, and they're dying. Kids don't care about them anymore. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Check out my Rumble and Locals, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my Locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my Locals.